Hey guys, VaulSC here. Hope that you're having a good week. A couple of weeks ago, I played a game of Infinity on Cryogenics, one of the new missions, probably the only new mission from the new ITS season. It was a game of Aleph versus Haqqislam. My list pretty much meta kind of standard list that includes the things that I normally would. My opponent trying something very, very different and weird though, so that's what's going to make this game special, I guess, and one of the reasons why I thought I'd just share it with you guys. Also, first game on the new Cryogenics mission. I know that a lot of you guys have played it a fair number of times now, but for me it was the first go, so just maybe sharing a point or two that I picked up from it. Nothing amazing though. Let's just turn our attention to that mission. If I just minimize my thing over here and take a look. So this has four objectives in the center in the sort of supremacy kind of layout. And what you're meant to do is you're meant to go over to the buttons and you press them and they reveal an HVT or not. The thing is, a 1 to 12 roll will mean that it's empty. And once you've actually emptied two coffins, then the HVTs have to be in the remaining ones. Or if you get them straight away, then the other ones are automatically empty. But it's not a 50-50 chance. There's a greater chance of finding an empty one. So the thing is, if you go to the objectives that are closer to you, so if we look at this little map here that we're playing on today, I might even grab out the pen if I possibly can. Still getting used to Windows 11 as always. So there's these four objectives over here, and you know you got to imagine the table split into these areas where you got the deployment zone over here. For this game, I'm actually sitting up on this side. But the thing is, if you just move straight onto the objective nearest you, it's more likely to be empty and therefore reveal an HVT on one of the remaining ones. So if you move up and grab your objectives initially, chances are they're going to be empty and you're just revealing HVTs on your opponent's side, which is interesting. I think that that's a kind of a fun little rule. The more cynical side of me feels like it's a better strategy to just ignore the objectives and kill your opponent, and that seems to be a little bit of the consensus at the moment. I'm hearing a lot of things from people about missions being a little bit too easy to win by going first and ignoring the mission. Now that we've kind of solved Infinity N4 in the meta and realized that with a cap of 15 models, it's quite hard to put out enough chaff and defenses to keep your more vulnerable and expensive stuff safe. Also, the game has power creep to the point where there are a number of pieces which are really brutal and hard to stop compared to N3. So yeah, that is a concern. The other thing about this mission is that your Master Breacher, which is a model that you nominate, can really just bully the midfield and stay there and get points that way, and that's one of the main ways to secure a win. So factions that have access to something really strong can do that, are a little bit advantaged, although most factions should have something they can use as a reasonable Master Breacher. It's not that bad. Look, this mission at the end of the day, I think it's one of the better ones for ITS. That's not really, setting a high bar for the statement. In ITS, you think of looting and sabotaging, biotech for highly classified countermeasures. Those are the really trash tier, terrible missions. Whereas supplies, unmasking, that kind of thing, they're reasonable and decent. We're seeing more people come up with custom missions these days, which is good. We want to see more of that because really the players at this point are getting to the level where they are a little bit better at designing missions than the devs are. So, let's see how the game works out. We'll go over the lists. This is me over here playing Aleph. At this point in time, I feel like Aleph isn't particularly strong in the meta. I've been hearing rumours that they'll even be losing the diggers and the trip hammer, which is, on one hand, a really good thing. I don't like the fact that the faction identity is diluted by those mercenary units. Having said that, diggers are a really big part of what makes vanilla Aleph competitive at the moment. You're kind of having to crutch on them a little bit. If you are wanting to be really competitive with vanilla Aleph, I would recommend building your list around the Marut. And if you can't do that, either Achilles or the Trip Hammer. It's really got to sort of be one of those big anchors for the list. We do have the Agema missile launcher now, which is very strong. So you could probably include one of those in your list as well. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Or Atalanta. Both have become really good. I actually prefer the hidden deployment version of Atlanta now. because the control over when she can aero is more important than the total reaction, in my view. And again, with MSV2 and smoke, you know, you could potentially have the smoke down before she appears or after your opponents put smoke down. Either way, we're not running Atlanta today. We're running the Marut with all of the standard stuff. This is a downgrade of the list that I used to have where the Beast Hunter was in there at 9 points, but I've had to shave 6 points off with the net rods being nerfed. Net rods cost 6 points per model now, so I still need to put them in there. They're still essential, so the Beast Hunter has become a war core, and that's really what we're doing with the list. Everything else, just stock standard, what I would normally play in Aleph. Let's talk about my opponent's list, though, because this is much more exciting kind of list. This is not the kind of thing that you see with Haqqislam ever. What he's done is he's decided to run a list based around the idea that the Janissary Doctor can revive 2 wounds, and he's called it the Akbar because back in N3, that was the name of the ability that allowed you to use the Doctor ability on a model and restore 2 wounds rather than 1. And the fun theme of this list is that he's taken as many 2-wound models as he possibly can. So 2 Azraels, Asawira, Namur, the Alpha Seed, the Janissary himself, and just a few cheerleaders. And the idea is that you stand these models up and you have them watching the table and you let them die, and then the Doctor, who is quite good at doctoring at Willpower 14, by the way, restores 2 wounds. So in terms of the attrition, it's in theory quite good. I think experienced players can look at this and agree that this is not really a competitive list, it's a meme list. The idea here is that with so many points in those models, and if you're going to play a passive game where you're just reviving your guys all the time, it's going to be hard to also deal damage to the enemy reliably. It's going to be hard to go out there and complete the mission reliably, and it's also weak against a few things that can really sneak up on it, like impersonators, in my opinion. A variety of problems. Hacking as well could be a bit of an issue. So yeah, it's kind of a fun list. I mean, we talked about it. One obvious way that you can still keep the idea going with the Akbar 2-wound Doctor is just to maybe drop 1 or 2 of the heavies and take a whole lot of, you know, Farzans and Hunsakuts or whatever, just to go out and complete the mission and the Daylamis and all of that. And you could still have a couple of heavy infantry guys and the Doctor and still have points left over for all of the other jank, right? But funnily enough, even though this list has some really bad matchups, the list I'm actually playing kind of gives it a good run, because all I've really got is 1 Marut to shoot them with, and the Marut, you know, can't always just clear them off by doing 3 wounds straight up. So yeah, we end up actually having a really close game. Okay, let's take a look at the game. So as I mentioned, we've got this sort of layout. I decided to take the first turn. My opponent's just sitting up over here, and the cryogenics mission is going to be what we're working on here. So my deployment, obviously just scattering everybody around the deployment zones. Got the walker in the center over there, and just generally hanging out for a long game where I'm just going to be using that Marut to pick off the low-hanging fruit. Note that at this point, I'm not really aware of what list he's running, so I'm expecting the Daylamis and the impersonators and all of that stuff. Hippolyta, by the way, in the bottom right-hand side here is representing the Myrmidon. So there she is there. That's the Myrmidon. And I've got that little turret at the back of the deployment zone there. You can see him right in the corner. But yeah, as I mentioned, just spreading everybody out. My opponent doing the same sort of thing. So he's got Ghulams hiding around, and he's got his Akbars, his Azraels, just sort of finding cagey places to be. And this Alpha Seed with the HMGs representing his heavy rocket launcher, of course. So this model that's just been spray painted, not fully painted, is the Doctor, and it's attached to, of course, the Nazmat little remote guys to make sure that they can do their thing. And there's, of course, the Warcore standing up and his own turret under the bridge there. But yeah, just spreading everything out through the deployment zone. He's got this Liankai, which is going to represent the Namur. If I recall correctly, the Namur is the one with the super jump, or climbing plus, sorry. So he's able to get down from there. Alrighty. That's the Asawira in the left-hand corner. And then my reserve trooper, I can actually put 3 different things in reserve because I've got the Strategos rule and I'm spending a command token. So I'm holding back the posthumans and the Marut and the TR bot. So what we've got here, I forgot to bring my second Yud bot, so this this orange model here is not actually a camo token, it's just a helper bot, and the TR bot's just sitting there to watch the entire table. And I want him to attack that TR bot and make it go unconscious so I can just revive it, and that will slow him down. I think that's a pretty good tactic against Haqqislam. Haqqislam don't have a lot of really strong HMGs. And sometimes their lists don't really run HMGs, it's more about the Red Fury, Mukhtar, and the Asawira Spitfire. And that may mean that the TR bot, even though it may lose the fights, won't take that many wounds, and you can keep on reviving it and causing the Haqqislam player a real headache. You can even just throw out some free discovers on things that that really don't want to reveal. So yeah, it's a pretty good piece against Haqqislam in my view. Over here we have the posthuman and the Liberto mine, etc., etc. This reserve trooper posthuman here, that's going there because I'm expecting his Asawira to flank around the side of the table. So I'm trying to keep him on top of this roof where revealing him won't put him into line of sight, but I can actually start hacking him as he comes past because I'm really worried about that Asawira with its AP Spitfire going up against my Marut. So there's the Marut there. I haven't 100% finished painting the new model. I found the CO cast to be quite flimsy. I think it's a good move that Corvus Belli have switched to CO cast for these models to save them money. I think it's a good business move. But let's just not be kidding ourselves. It's not like it's better than metal. We're not suddenly getting a magically better product here. So that is my view on it. I mean, CO cast is not like a preferable material to metal, but for their business, I can see why they would switch to it. And look, the model still looks really, really good. Okay, so setting up my 2 diggers here. Diggers rolling up abilities and gear, which is not too consequential. Just getting some really basic stuff. But they're there to protect the Marut at close range, because I know that he may have some close quarters stuff. Diggers are really nice to have against any potential impersonators or stuff like that. Really good in close combat and plenty of chain rifles to go around. So that's what's going on here. This is my order pool. Switching around, so I've got 9 regulars plus the irregular for the tactical awareness and I think one of my irregular troopers like the Liberto or something like that, or the Walker is in group 1, and then 5+1 in group 2. My opponent does have the Foybach Azrael watching the table, so I will have to take him on at some point. But the first thing to do, of course, is to get the Myrmidon to plant down smoke nearby to the Marut so I can just pick and choose. And this is the strength of the Marut really against opposing lists that want to just hang out and have ARO pieces and partial cover. You don't really need to achieve very much in the first turn. The Marut in this case is the I was about to call him the data tracker. I think he's called a Master Breacher in this mission. Master Breacher. So that is the Marut. My opponent's Master Breacher is like the Asawira. So, yeah. What I really need to do is just end the turn with a Marut somewhere in the zone, which could be a bit scary, but we can protect him with everything else. And just pick things off. I'm okay for him to spend his orders just reviving everybody with the Akbar, just so long as I can sort of keep him at arm's length. So staying in the smoke, shooting at the Alpha Seed heavy rocket launcher, driving it back into cover, picking off the War Core, moving up here to take on, I believe, his Foybuck at some point. We've got the TR bot there ready to shoot it as well. And the first turn is just a really cagey gunning people down, driving them back into cover. But funnily enough, that actually kind of plays into my opponent's hands. That's exactly what he was planning on doing. So I'm realizing partway through this turn that this may not actually be a very easy game. Now, the most thoughtful thing here, the most interesting thing here about this turn and about this game is that I realized that the table we'd laid out doesn't really have many hiding spots for the Marut, and I don't really have much to defend it at range apart from the TR bot. So if he shoots a TR bot, which is very easily doable, and then moves up with an AP Spitfire and spends like 6 orders shooting at the Marut, I will lose it, and then I'll probably lose the game. And if I retreat into my deployment zone, I still couldn't really find a suitable place to keep it that would make it, total cover for the entire turn. Because he's got some stuff which he can just maneuver around to shoot me. And again, I only have that TR bot watching the table. So that became a bit of a concern. The other problem too is that if I don't start scoring points with my Master Breacher, he's going to do that with his. And that makes the game very hard to win long term. So I had a really careful look at the battlefield, and I decided to move him up into the center, which is it's a really scary and usually ill-advised thing to do with your tag, because it just gives your opponent so many ways he can come after me. The thing is, though, that I have one digger on either side of him. I can put the Marut into suppression fire with this box in front of him so that he can see sort of sideways, and the only places my opponent can get line of sight to him will be within 24, so I get to use suppression fire. And it's going to take him quite a number of orders to get round into position. And if it's just one Azrael with a Spitfire or whatever it might be, or Asawira rather, against a Marut and suppression fire, that's much harder for him to actually kill me. And it does pose a risk for him as well. So I decided to pull the trigger on that and see what happens. Grabbing some objectives with my group 2 orders, post-human, moving around here. This turns out to be an empty console, so just moving around to keep him out of line of sight here. But yeah, you do get points, I believe, for opening the objectives. Have activated 2 or more tech coffins. Yeah, so that's 2. So you need to get at least 2 of them to have 2 points. A lot of people have pointed out that if you just spend the whole first turn grabbing 3 of them, your opponent can never get those 2 points. But, you know, that is a lot of work and a lot of time is spent just hitting buttons, so you may not always want to do that. Okay, so moving up my post-human here with the hacking device again, because there's, if you look at the bottom right corner of the battlefield here, and I might just go mark this up just so we can talk about it. If you come down here, this is actually a rooftop, and you can go underneath this. So if his Asawira, which is around about here, moves around to this spot, it can shoot my Marut from this angle. And I don't really want that, because, you know, again, if he does put me unconscious, he can just remove me, and that's probably game. That's why it'll be really useful to have the hacker there to hit him with Spotlight or Oblivion or whatever I might need to do as he's shooting the Marut. So this kind of zones out that particular avenue of attack, which I think is really important. Okay, so diggers moving around, just getting to position where they can actually dodge and stand up and cause my opponent to spend more orders on them. One other thing I'm sort of worried about here, and again we're going to go into markup mode, is he can use one of his Azraels to move around the walkways around the side, and he can eventually get to a point where he can see the Marut from some sort of angle here. Having the digger being able to dodge a little bit closer and just generally defend this area is fine. I'm happy to lose that digger. If he's going to spend 1 or 2 orders shooting it, that's 1 or 2 orders which are not going to go into the Marut, and it just buys me enough time to have another turn. So that's where he needs to be. And also coming through the center, I can stand up with the digger and threaten with the chain rifle. The other play that I decided I thought I'd make is I thought I'd sacrifice the Myrmidon. The idea here is that the Myrmidon can stand up, watch the table, and as soon as he moves into position to start shooting at me, I can just throw the grenade so that it hits the Marut only, the smoke grenade that is, and not the Myrmidon. So I've got a 16 or less chance to just plant the smoke there, meaning that he can't really attack the Marut at all. Or I can just try and smoke touching the Myrmidon and make it a face-to-face roll and keep the Myrmidon and the Marut covered by smoke. Worst case scenario, he just kills the Myrmidon. I don't even plant the smoke, but again, that is an extra order he's got to spend killing something in my army that isn't the Marut, and then at the end of the turn I can continue scoring points with that Master Breacher, retaliate, move my troops forward, hit more buttons, so I'm happy with this play. Liberto also moving into position as well, just to try and sort of, you know, defend the line, just put out more obstacles. So my opponent has his turn 1, moving, of course, with the Akbar Doctor to revive and heal wounds here around him. We also have this guy up here who's revived, of course, with the Helper Bot. I believe he got shot by the Marut, can't 100% remember. And we have both of them coming up into the building. Love this beautiful little photo here with the white and yellow color scheme. And then, of course, we have the big boy moving in at the bottom left. You can see him down here going after my Myrmidon over here, and he does get line of sight to him. In fact, my cam's in the way, so you can see the Myrmidon over there, which can be seen by the Azrael. So the Myrmidon decides to throw the smoke just onto the ledge to the right of it, just right here, so that the smoke will be touching the silhouette of the Marut and the Myrmidon. And I got lucky here. I actually won the face-to-face roll, planted the smoke, saved the life of the Myrmidon and the Marut, so feeling really good. So there it is there. The smoke's planted. Myrmidon is in perfect position, and so is the Marut. It's in suppression fire. We are loving life. So my opponent comes up with a plan here. He's got the Namur, which is in a duo with the Asawira. vanilla Haqqislam, right? Best duos. Well, maybe Pano has some really good ones as well. But, you know, I'm just making a joke here about how the fire team rules kind of, you know, didn't really reduce the effectiveness of vanilla, but made them better. Anyway, Namur and Asawir are moving out, and his plan is to just walk them straight through to the middle of the table and destroy my Marut at close range in close combat. And to do that, he only has to get really through one TR bot. He walks over the ledge here and dodges, and he takes the full burst of the TR bot. And I think that's a reasonable play, because it's a pretty good chance that he will actually not take 2 wounds. And even if he does, there is that Akbar Doctor nearby. Just going to double check the Namur. Is that the one that has 2 wounds straight up? Yeah, so the change, he's got 2 wounds straight up. So the Akbar Doctor will work on him. So this was a good play. I mean, it's a little bit risky. If I get lucky and just wipe him out here, he's got to spin all those extra orders. But that didn't eventuate. He does get through there and ends up moving through to the middle of the table. So he's got to spend a lot of orders to do this, and again, the Asawir is the Master Breacher, so just carefully moving around, avoiding line of sight. And we're bringing them all the way around to this area here, where they are going to take hits from the Liberto shotgun. There is still the TR bot, which can actually see them when they come around this corner, or at least part of it. I hate Windows 11 with the way that this works, but the idea is that the smoke is somewhere around here. It's kind of just clipping the Marut, and this area is kind of obscuring the line of sight from the TR bot, but the TR bot still has... Is there any way to change the color? I can't even remember. Here it is here. Let's just make it yellow. Okay, so the TR bot's got a line through here which will actually clip their base only when they come around the corner. So that's the situation right now. So I will get at least one shot off with the TR bot. So it is risky for him. It's still a good play that he's making. It's still a good defense I've set up. We are sort of handing it over to Dice at this point. But we're both sort of playing a reasonable game here. But still, the Marut also does get to shoot at them with the suppression fire as they come around the corner. So that is a thing. Alright, so what actually happens here? They've still got their duo. This is an overview. That little white little counter here is showing the center point of the smoke grenade. The diggers are desperately trying to stand up and jump around here, and the Liberto down the bottom right is revealing and just blapping with a shotgun. This digger over here does manage to stand up, but of course it's blocked by smoke, so it won't really be able to help out for a little bit. So what does happen is I do get a volley off with the TR bot against the Asawira, and at this point my luck sort of swings my way a little bit and does render the Asawira unconscious. He will get to use regeneration, and you know, very powerful rule for that model. But this is important because it blocks him from using the additional burst bonus from the Namur, and of course means that I don't have to spend orders at, attacking the Asawira on my turn. It stops him from dodging around the corner into the close combat, so things looking really, really good. TR bot there just gloating with his little victory here, lighting the enemy up, and you can see you know, a bit more clearly how the angle here goes just directly past this smoke grenade and only clips them as they come around the corner. But of course, as this happens, the Namur is able to dodge around. He does kill off the Liberto. I do place some more mines. The Namur passes a lot of armor saves, so again, this is a risky situation. I feel like, you know, the odds of me defending are kind of reasonable here. I did get lucky with the TR bot, but he does get really lucky with a lot of armor saves from his Namur, just tanking save after save from the Liberto and the shotgun and the mines, etc., etc. So what happens? He does get the Namur into close combat with really only 1 or 2 orders left. And we realize that the stats here aren't actually as amazing as we thought. The Namur gets to roll 1 dice with the +1 burst, okay, so 2 dice at CC 21, but he's up against suppression fire as he's coming around the corner, so that'll knock him down to 2 dice on 18s, and for me, it's 3 dice on 15s, isn't it? Because he doesn't have any martial arts. So when you think about it, his plan of getting into close combat kind of relied on having the helper there to get yet another dice, and even then, I mean, I've got 3 dice on 15s, he's got 2 dice on 18s, which would have been 3 dice on 18s. How confident do you feel in that situation? I mean, the Marut, at this point, has a reasonable shot of wounding him and not taking any damage here. during the initial sort of charge into close combat. And the Namur quite reasonably could have taken a hit by now from the TR bot or the Liberto. So, it's quite a daring attack here, and it's a bit of an all or nothing kind of thing. What ends up happening is my opponent does successfully win the close combat, does damage the tag, but again, we're talking about an EMCCW. So the tag gets hit and goes into immobilization, isolation, takes 2 wounds, but my opponent runs out of orders at this point. So, quite crucially, you've got the Namur there, which gets stuck into close combat. I can now kill him. And the Asawira is there, and it's getting hit by more chain rifles as the Namur's moving around. So I believe the Asawira gets killed at this point as well. But crucially, I have a opportunity to revive my Marut now and kill the Namur, and that will hopefully seal the game. So there you are. He does go unconscious as a result of, I think, possibly the Digger shooting a chain rifle into him, or the Liberto's mine going off as he moves into close combat. So that's not a big issue. We can see the Asawira has been removed. I can't remember the specific detail of this part of the game, but it was one of the two. It was like a chain rifle or a mine or something like that, which did pick him off. So all I've really got to do is get that engineer in. He's also setting up shop here with the Azraels, so they're going to be annoying. And it's not easy. I've got to get enough orders to move through and revive that Marut, and then the Marut might actually not win the face-to-face roll against the Azraels, so it's dangerous. He's standing up here with the Alpha Seed heavy rocket launcher. There is a line down there to the point next to the Marut where I'll need to move my engineer. So there you have it. We do have the TR bot being revived, which is great. That will be helpful. But the main thing here after reviving the TR bot is to get this little Yud bot guy in there. And to do that, I think I had to either use a cautious move, or in fact, I'm not even sure if they can cautious move. But the main thing was to perhaps get a smoke grenade in there with the Myrmidon. But I did manage to get him through, either through smoke or dodging or whatever happened there. But the Yudbot does get through, and that allows me to remove or cancel the immobilized and isolated states. The tag does have a tactical awareness order and an irregular order, I think, and that gives me a little bit of an opportunity to attack. And of course, with isolation being removed, I can now spend the regular orders on him as well. So we have a Myrmidon able to put down some smoke possibly, and the tag is able to move out. If I just move my camera, you can see the Alpha Seed in the distance. The tag initially shooting the Alpha Seed, no worries at all. Moving around, knocking him down. I believe that after a couple of unlucky volleys, I managed to remove him from the table completely, if my memory serves correctly. Can't 100% remember, but I did put the tag back into suppression fire at some point. And quite crucially, I think we can agree here that this is a good position because my Master Breacher is still alive in the zones, and his isn't. It's dead. And he's down a few orders now. So my opponent's capability to actually come back and press a lot of buttons is still a little bit limited. So we've knocked the Alpha Seed, we've knocked the Azrael unconscious. We haven't done very much more mission work, and the TR bot's back. So things are looking pretty good here. My opponent comes out with his Barid and goes for an objective grab, opening this little box up. He brings his Janissaries helper bot around here to revive the Azrael, and that is getting to position to take on the big old TR bot and the War Core, etc. So just as he loses face-to-face rolls here and there, he's got that helper bot and Asbat in position to just pick them back up off the ground again, reviving 2 wounds as he does that, which is a pretty big deal. So coming back to me for my third turn, I'm pushing out with the post-human, just going in and grabbing another console. That is important because, capturing 2 consoles gets you that 2 points and puts her in position to deny, my opponent capturing the HVT and hacking him as he comes nearer. The tag pushing out here is just mowing down the heavy infantry, shooting this guy, that guy. The tag does eventually fall. I think I knocked down the Azrael and the Alpha Seed again for like the 3rd time. But again, it's more about stalling his order count. He doesn't have that many models, and I'm okay to lose the Marut at this point in the game. He's done a good job. Didn't really have time to revive him. I can then stand up with just pretty much every model I have because the points values of the models don't matter at this point. It's really just about standing in the zones. So what my opponent has to do now, and you can see the tag there, I believe, has been destroyed. My opponent's trying to find a way to... I'm going to have to mark this up again. I hate using this tool in Windows 11. But let's just grab it here. What my opponent's trying to do is he's trying to throw a picture to this location here. The tag is actually lights out at this point. It's unconscious. And the reason he's doing that the photo won't show this to you, but on this side of the battlefield, I've got a post-human which is just camping around, not in marker state, and the post-human's just got a regular hacking device, whereas the breed is a killer hacker. So by planting the picture here, he should be able to eliminate the hacker that way, and then go and camp the objective and either get a draw or a victory. Unfortunately for him, though, it's a long-range picture shot, and he fails the roll. Or at least I think it was a long-range. I couldn't quite remember that specific detail. But what he ended up having to do is move around with his Janissary instead. So we've got an HVT being revealed right next to where my hacker is. You can see him moving up with the little robot here, just trying to get his repeater in range of my hacker. But, you know, he got hit by a boarding shotgun there and dies. So there you go there, just laid low by the post-human's gun. So the Janissary has to come around and get it done. So the Janissary plotting, walking, striding. Unfortunately, it's not painted, so you can sort of see in the bottom left there's this dark blobby shadow here of a Janissary. And he's also trying to tie me up with the Nazmat. Probably not the best plan, because then I can just dodge into close combat with it, and it's harder for him to shoot me. But I'm sorry to say to Haqqislam fans, the post-human manages to dodge her way to safety. Mimetism helping out a great deal here, and the game ends with me actually just camping my model next to his HVT. And he wasn't really able to do anything about it in the end. My opponent a bit unlucky with the dice rolls here. And the post-human lives. So it is a fairly significant win to Aleph in this game, but I think we can all agree that this was a very winnable game for my opponent. It could have quite easily been the case that he got a little bit luckier in the middle there and just wiped out my tag and didn't lose his Asawira, or in this situation just easily grabs the objectives and kills my post-human and takes the Marut out of the equation. All of that stuff could have easily happened. So it's not like his list is the worst list in the world. I just think it has a better matchup against the kind of list I'm running, as opposed to a lot of other stuff out there. I can imagine that on some tables that are a bit more dense, he'd really struggle. Against some sort of hacking lists, it's a bit problematic. Against something with, I guess, mimetism and the HMG, like the cutter, that's a bit more effective than the Marut, because you don't have to put down smoke and you're just winning the face-to-face rolls very handily. Against some of the link teams there that are, you know, hitting you with Blitzskull 16 and 5-burst gun, that kind of thing, you're going to be reviving a lot of models, but you're not going to be doing much active turn stuff. It's quite hard. And against the bear pods and so forth, once they get to your lines, it's kind of hard to remove them. Yeah. Nomads, you know, they've got the Morans in the center of the field. I mean, what do you do against that? So it's not the most competitive Haqqislam list, but in some cases it can really shine, and I think he found the right table for it, and he found the right opponent for it. Still couldn't quite clutch it though. I was a little bit lucky, and I know I made a couple good plays. I could have played better. You know, this wasn't 100% my best game. I'm feeling at the moment like vanilla Haqqislam. They really do need the diggers, and they do need the Marut. They have been hurt by the Netrod nerf. I feel like Netrods, they did need a nerf, but I don't know if the points thing was the right way to do it. I mean, in N3, they had a chance of dying or dispersing and just not being where you wanted them to, whereas the Netrods now are very, very reliable. So that's why they needed to be changed. Putting them on 6 points is a bit weird, because you're not also nerfing a lot of other things in that category. Like, Aleph can take a 6-point guy with no gun, and Caledonia can take a 6-point guy that does have a gun. So it just seems a little bit strange, right? So I would have handled it a little bit of a different way. Maybe 5 points might have been a better sit for it. Yeah. But, I mean, looking at Aleph, there are a lot of things in the faction that you really can't play competitively. There's just so many units there which just don't make the cut for your lists. You really do have to rely on the post-humans and a big model like a Tag, Achilles, Trip Hammer, that kind of thing. And you've got to take the diggers, etc. So, although I really like the faction, they are kind of they're kind of really behind the top guys, the S tier big boys like Vanilla Nomads, Vanilla Ariadna, probably still Vanilla Combined Army, despite them being nerfed like 3 times now. They're still very strong. Cosmoflot right up there, probably Hassassin Baram, and Aleph a fair way behind that. I don't think that Aleph are in the bottom half of the faction lists. If you're playing a list like I'm playing right here, you've got a pretty solid core, robust group of models to win the game with. They're quite flexible. Anyway, guys, new episode of Table Game Fun Times coming out next Tuesday. Do check that out. And for now, you enjoy your day.